gonna start this thing.
Hey folks, welcome. It's Thursday. You know what that means. It's draft day here at the BVK pod. And we are going to be drafting some ridiculousness, right? Just some absolute ridiculous scenes in films.
I just thought of BVK Thursday. It rhymes. It's fucking...
You know what? Every day ends with A. It doesn't matter if it's Thursday or Monday or Tuesday or Sunday.
BVK Thursday.
I feel like I want to make a confession here. I feel uncomfortable with our acronym because it always sounds to me like we're talking about that serial killer, BTK.
No.
And nobody thinks about that.
I think of...
I'm just kind of a sick fuck, I guess. But
to the 40 people that listen to our podcast, they all think that it sounds like our podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But for the record, it's Bev's Video Kingdom.
Yeah.
BVK.
The all-female hosted podcast that everybody loves.
All right, so we do on Thursdays we do drafts, and it's related to the movie. You all heard our Strange Brew pod on Tuesday talking about just that classic Canadian film. Loved it. You know, mixed reviews, but I'll deal with that.
We'll say mixed reviews.
And so we're going to be drafting the most memorable drinking/drunk scenes in film. So that's our category. But before you do, again, if you haven't listened to the Strange Brew podcast, you should check us out on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us, us.
We are not on TikTok, just FYI. So if you're looking for us on TikTok, you will not find us.
Made that journey
We specialize in 2+ hour pieces of entertainment. TikTok was not made for us.
We are on TikTok in 40 episode segments.
It takes us a while to warm up, so TikTok would not be for us.
So follow us. The one thing we're looking for right now, actually, and if you need a mission to help us out, it would just be drop some reviews on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, Spotify, whatever. Drop some reviews, say some good shit about us, and we'll keep doing this.
Honestly, even just say some like mediocre things about us. I mean, give us 5 stars, but then sort of, lay out some of your complaints, and we'll try to do better.
Yeah, we appreciate all sorts of just kind of like hidden criticism and things like that. Yeah,
just 5-star.
5 stars and then just rip us apart.
Subscribe and stuff. Tell people you like. Tell people you don't like.
All right. So we've got a draft order here for the most memorable drinking and drunk scenes in film.
Wait, can I clarify before we do this?
Okay.
Is this so I can choose multiple scenes from the same film, correct? That would be 2 different picks.
For different picks.
If you want to get that specific.
I think we're going to get probably into some arguments
specific.
about that. There's a couple characters I was thinking about that it's not a particular scene, but kind of a combination scene. So I'm going to let it go. We'll see. We'll make judgments on the spot.
I'm going to make sweeping generalizations and be like, this guy in this movie.
This guy in this TV show.
You're not going to say this guy in this movie. You're going to be like, this guy across 3 movies.
Yes.
And I'm going to take them all right now in one pick.
All right. Yes. Every time that who is it? Jack Nicholson's been drunk in a movie.
Zach's
I didn't even think of him.
Multiple episodes of Game of Thrones. Zach is going to pick.
There's some good drinking.
And just try and just shove it under the radar.
When Tyrion gets super hammered.
Right.
I'm ready. Most of the first 3 seasons. All right. So let's go ahead and go with these the draft order. We've got starting off, lead off, Zach. Number 1.
Gonna take another
I think it's
stallion and turn it into a pony.
it's very clear the 1 of 1 this week.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't
Number
know
2 spot, we've got Nate.
Yeah. I'll clean up after Zach's mess.
Fresh off of his very, very, very close victory in our most memorable movie death podcast from last week, that would be Nick in third.
Nice to see everybody here.
I'll be cleaning up on the wrap, 4th and 5th pick. Good stuff.
Nick just looked at everyone with such disdain right now. He's just like, fuck these guys.
Well, Nate has a lawyer sitting next to him right now, and I think he has some problems with last week's victory, considering that he wasn't there. And
many problems.
I mean, that lawyer's not that intimidating, though. He doesn't look like he could do any kung fu. Or
the lawyer has
the lawyer is holding
no karate
his
skills.
poop bag as we speak.
The lawyer has no leg to stand on. There's a 3 poop rule. If you poop 3 times within the hour of when people are coming over to your house, you have to.
I will say that
I
was asked last week post draft to rank the draft, and Scott Beck and I are of one mind. I ranked it exactly as Scott did.
Meaning that you picked Nick's team.
I did.
So Nick got 2 wins.
I was very proud of my
I feel
lineup.
I'm upset about that, but then again, I don't want any of you assholes to win. So
It was a strong team.
Thank you, Nate, for that.
it was like a tie for third. You guess the three of you tie for third.
All right, I'm very excited because you say that the number one is far and away the number one, and I'm excited to find out what that is. So Zach, let's get this shit started. Man.
I cannot wait to hear what
It is not going to be anybody else's one-on-one. I don't think.
That's shocking to me.
Is it ever?
I'm going Will Ferrell, Frank the Tank.
That's 101.
An
That's
old
one
school.
of one. That's a fair one of one.
Because I just love it so much. We're going streaking!
We're going streaking.
Once it hits your lips, it's so good.
Just turning down the beer
Fill it
bong
up
at
again.
first and trying to talk about Bed Bath and Beyond. And all that shit.
I say once a week some version of I'm gonna go home. I got a good day going. I'm gonna go to Home Depot, Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't know if
Nice
we'll
little
have time.
Sunday.
Pretty nice little Sunday.
Little Sunday plan.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take. Ooh, man, it's toughy. I had a whole different scene here, and then I
Just pick the whole
realized
movie.
this one.
I'll allow it.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to puss out like that. I'm taking one of my all-time favorite scenes, the scene that is of all scenes, the like ultimate badass drinking bar situation move. Will Hunting
Oh.
in the Harvard bar goes up, says, we can go outside and figure this out if you want. Has any woman ever been more attracted to a man than Skylar is to Will right there? No. Answer's no.
I just love Casey Abbott. My boy is wicked smart.
My boy's wicked
Wicked smart.
And then they're both sitting there finishing the pitcher down at the end of the bar, and he's telling this terrible story, and she walks up and he goes, I swallowed a bug. And he walked away, which was apparently a totally improvised, weird line. That's my number one.
All right, that's not a bad pick. I like it. Actually, it's surprising that wasn't even on my list.
Your list sucks.
Whack ass fucking list. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
All right, Nick.
I can't remember if this was my first pick in the most memorable death, but probably the first and only time this will ever happen. 2 of the same movie in 2 separate topic drafts. I'm going Jaws, conversation around the table, the shark stories in the Indianapolis by Quint. Show me the way to go home. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Tired and I want to go to bed.
To bring in that real, true story into the movie is pretty interesting because that's one of the shittiest times ever to be in the water with sharks.
The time when your stomach gets
There's
eaten.
a lot of blood and sharks in the water.
I love it.
There are some good times being a water shark, but that ain't one of them.
Yeah, you're not petting those sharks.
Bradley, get you your reach around.
This is just such a weird category because I think I've got my first one. And it's always good when the actor performing the scene is actually just almost blackout drunk as well, when they're playing a drunken crazy person. I'm going to go with Ben Willard, Apocalypse Now. That's Martin Sheen. He's in the hotel room. He's having a lot of problems dealing with this whole war, and he kind of just loses his fucking shit for a while. Goes nuts in the hotel room, just shit-faced out of his mind. So that's my first one.
Did you pick that same movie for your number one pick
Apocalypse Now?
last week?
No, that was Platoon.
Oh, that was Platoon. You're right.
Different film.
That
was
would have been amazing.
I was looking at Nick 2 in a row. What is happening right now?
And then, you know what? There's just things that are iconic. And when you go to pretty much anybody's dorm in college, it always comes down to college posters. What are the college posters that you see out there? And the one that just stands out is John Belushi holding the bottle of Jack with the college sweater. And that chugging scene where he just decides he's going to drink that whole damn bottle. I'm sure there's a lot of idiots that have tried that before, which is just stupendously dumb. But chugging the Jack Daniels, you got to go with the late, great John Belushi, Animal House.
Not a bad pick, but when I think of college posters, I always think of that Pulp Fiction one.
I had Frank the Tank holding the blow-up doll
Really?
with a shit-eating grin on his face.
Oh, that
was a good
poster?
one. It was a good
And
one.
Scarface,
That's a great
right?
poster.
Scarface is the other one that I think of.
Blow with all that one. That was popular back when we were in college.
Full stop. I mean, I've not seen Animal House all the way through. Like, that's just a movie that's never been one I've sat and
So are
watched
you
the
are
entire
you just
time.
picking straight off the Thrillist list, or are you?
I'm picking straight off the fact
did
that
you cut and paste that onto your own Word document?
in college, everybody watched that movie except for me, and everybody loved John Belushi. And I've seen a lot of John Belushi, and the dude's funny as fuck. And I wish he would have had a better
Blues
career.
Brothers and stuff.
This is my favorite thing that's happened.
We brothers and
Hey,
stuff.
at least I'm admitting it. Nate just pulls it off like, oh yeah, I've seen that.
We
of
would have
course.
thought you had seen it.
Let's go, Nikki.
Okay.
We're in the Nick moment of silence.
Nick
part of the
always,
pod.
Nick always,
Nick's always there's
he
such
always
tension.
seems like somebody's convincing him, like just off
Feeling
camera,
that.
and he's like, okay.
What do you think? What do you think the chances are that Nick wears like a very small earpiece?
Denise
Denise is drafting every single pick.
It's like on the league when the one guy's wife is actually the one making all the pickups and
Jenny's
stuff.
picking all the
Oh
picks.
my gosh.
We'll know. We're gonna know who to give the trophy to. When
This is
Nick
my new
wins.
favorite
Off this pick-
storyline.
Off this pick, possibly. But I rewatched this scene, and it's fucking hilarious. Kristen Wiig and Bridesmaids on the airplane.
God damn it.
My wife
That's-
said that in the
damn
kitchen
it.
today.
That's a
That's
funny
a
ass.
that's a great scene. That's a great one.
I thought there was a chance that's coming back because I mean that's one of the best like acting
Oh
drunk
my
scenes
God,
I've ever
dude.
seen. Where she,
Oh man.
every comment she makes is great and spot on.
Oh, unbelievable.
All right. Here I'm debating between the same actor in two movies.
Oh, take them both.
I could do that. Can I just can
allow
I
it.
just apply the Zach rule and just take them both? Yeah. I think I got to go with it. It's Nudie Magazine Day. It's Nudie Magazine
That was
Day.
on my list.
Billy Madison seeing the penguin.
Called the zoo.
Called the zoo in Billy Madison.
Like the first 30 minutes.
I think in particular him seeing the penguin out when he's getting the
Oh,
Nudie
it's so
magazines.
funny.
But sure, you can.
If you only watch 30 minutes though, you don't get the.
No, I
no, you're
love.
saying he's drunk the whole.
I'm saying that like he's pretty fucked up the first like
Oh,
30
okay,
minutes of the
yeah,
movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying only the first 30 minutes is great.
Oh no, I love that entire film. I call it a film, Brad.
Call it a film, Brad.
All right, well we've got on the
Zach
wrap
Willsby.
around Zach on the wrap.
Okay, so I am gonna go with not a funny one, and it is gonna be Nick Nolte in Warrior when he goes to the casino and goes up to the hotel room.
Oh, dude.
And he's just like the relapsed alcoholic with Moby Dick going.
Man, I didn't even have that on
And
my
it
list,
is
and I feel
just-
ashamed.
The most devastating. It's beautiful.
Damn, that's a great.
It's
pick,
it's
Zach.
Patty. What's the last names on those
Conlon.
dudes? Conlon. That's right.
Patty Conlon.
And it's a quick like 10-minute lesson in how to get nominated for an Oscar.
I mean, Nick Nolte's face looks like he looks like he went like full method and drank for 10 years.
He's like,
every day to play that role.
role, babe.
Yeah, I think most of his life was probably a lot of those
preparation,
moments.
'cause he
He's
looks
like,
like-
oh, you want me to do that? That's like Tuesday for me.
No actor ever looked more like an alcoholic than Nick Nolte in that scene.
Oh, just being comforted by his son. It's great. All right. With my next pick on the wraparound.
Hey, fans, can you hear that train? That's because we're in the Bev's Video Kingdom outdoor studio. Can you?
As always.
As always. And
It's,
that is the Santa Fe Express.
I feel like it would be douchey to describe what it really looks like. We should just it's a folding card table.
We kind of have
outside
it set
of
up
our
like
buddy's
Mr.
double wide.
Rogers. It's like a Mr. Rogers setup.
We are outside his double wide.
Yeah.
It's a comfy double wide.
It's a balmy 86 degrees with 100% humidity in Tennessee today. All right. We're going to go. God, I got two. But I still have one more pick after this, correct?
Eventually, at the
Okay.
very end of the draft, but not right
So
now.
I'm going to
don't-
go, and I don't know his name. Brad's going to have to Google machine this. So I believe now this when the Indian guy drinks in
You
Beer Fest.
motherfucker.
And he thinks that girl is hitting on him, and he goes over and talks to her, and they have this magical evening, and then it cuts back to what
Oh,
really
I hate you.
happens and what he really
Barry-
looks like.
Barry,
That was my pick.
Barry while they're playing asshole. Yes.
Oh, it's so fucking funny, you guys.
I'm gonna break your dick off.
My brother-in-law, like, 10 years ago got me that DVD for Christmas. And I'm almost positive that he'd never seen it. He just thought like, this is a movie that my brother-in-law would like, and he bought it for me, and I watched it so many times. It's very good.
Damn it, that was my pick.
I love that I took it from Nick.
All right.
That makes it even better.
Brad says I'm breathing into the mic. He's motioning me. He's like, I'm like over here. And he's like touching his face, touching his face.
It's no sounds. It's no sounds.
And I'm like, what, Brad? What am I doing?
Nate's always trying to sneak ASMR moments in there, and I'm just like, bro.
I know who my audience is.
Zach's making his pick. Nate's got it. They're like, is that a train? It sounds like Darth Vader.
All right. So
after they pull off the mask.
I'm taking
Darth Vader after they pull off the mask.
This was not my one of one, but I will say this was when the category came up, this was the very first thing that popped into my head. And I knew I could get it at value, which is in the third round, but it's got to go now. Can't hardly wait.
Oh, Nate.
William
That's the last one on my list.
Drinking to fit in.
The beer has gone bad. Nobody drink the beer.
And he gets up and does maybe the all-time greatest cover of Paradise City at a house party, and it is amazing.
See, when I was looking through some research for this, there was a lot of like kind of
so good
teen comedies, late 90s, early 2000s that I just had not seen. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a struggle for me.
This one.
You haven't seen Can't Hardly Wait?
I have not.
Brad. Oh my God.
Sorry, I was too busy watching Strange Brew.
This is true. We talked about this, I'm sure.
Oh man.
All right.
All right.
Right.
Hey Nick.
All right. I'm going.
Hey Nick. In this light, you somewhat resemble David Duchovny.
Well, early in the text thread, it was our boy from
Vinny Chase.
Vinny Chase.
Oh,
Vinny
Nick
Chase.
does.
That's like a history. I got a history.
That was a line
with
from
that
Can't Hardly Wait, but Nick
character.
does look exactly like Vinny Chase.
He looks
from
a lot like
Entourage.
Vinny Chase,
when I had the locks.
but he really looks like Vinny Chase from the neck down. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
if you're going
hairy
Nick,
Nick, like picture the statue
With his pants off? Or what are we talking about?
Picture the statue of David, but then now put like a very
But
like
just, like,
lightly
slightly
woven wool
High texture.
sweater,
Yeah.
sweater onesie jumper over the whole thing.
better abs.
Better abs.
Michelangelo, big on texture.
Sorry, go ahead with your pick, Nick.
I appreciate you giving me that time though, instead of the awkward silence.
Yeah, way better than Dr.
That's a good.
When it's Nick's
That's
turn,
a
I know
good-
I have 5
that's a
minutes
good-
to riff.
On the editing, when I get to the sound bar and it's like there's like a
Silent.
whole like
Like,
line for like 7 seconds.
Oh,
I'm
it's
like,
Nick's pick right
that's
there.
Nick talking right there.
Oh, I love it. I'm going Spielberg. E.T. drunk, an alien drunk running into cupboards. Fucking hilarious.
That's funny. E.T. is so creepy to me. The older I get, the creepier that fucker is.
The pass out at the end of the kitchen floor is pretty
and
fucking
yeah,
funny.
That's pretty funny.
Is
That
it
looks like Ric Flair style, like just doing the whole face like plant.
Oh, he's done,
Good
dude.
stuff.
Lights out.
And then like the 8-year-olds hammered at school.
Yes.
Nothing
Yeah.
funnier.
And
than
that's
that.
the same. I mean,
Are you
that's the same scene. So that's not.
Yeah, no, that's
No, I'm
that's-
counting.
We're
It's
like
all-
counting
yeah,
like the kid drunk
E.T.'s the
at
one who gets
school.
rubbed, but it counts
Yeah.
both of them. Yeah, and we can count both of them for sure.
Yeah.
And how old would you say he is in his 5th grade class?
Elliot was
5th grade?
7. No, he's probably about like 12. Yeah.
No, he's not 12. Elliot has
11?
not
He's
hit.
not 10?
Elliot definitely has not hit puberty. Let's just
All right,
clear
so he's
that up
like
right now.
10. All right.
Elliot, I'll sort this out on the Google.
All right. So, oh my Lord. I had an idea of where I was going, and one's just a tremendous moment. This one's a tremendous moment. All right. First, we're going to go with, I mean, if we're going to talk, I hate to say unbelievable, but it seems kind of unbelievable. Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
just going shot for shot with this big old bar dude.
Okay, so we have to talk about it. Is she really 16 when they shot that thing?
Was it the actress was 16?
Dude, Google that shit.
I did not know that.
She's not.
She's not 16.
She doesn't look 16.
Like a
She looks like she's-
40-year-old.
She is not 16, bro.
Is that not what I had read on the internet? It was something either that she was 16 or that like if she, oh no, this is what it is. She says how old she is, and then it says that she had hooked up with Indy before or some other dude before, and that if you do the math on how old she was, you go back, then she would have been 16.
I've heard that talk, but not that she wasn't.
Okay, so I misunderstood the first time.
Yeah,
right?
a little.
A little. She was actually 39 in the movie.
But, I mean, it is a great drinking scene because you just think, like,
great
I mean, she's just pounding them. And they're going back and forth, and it always makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, that's too much drinking. You're not supposed to drink like that.
It's not good for you.
Wrap it.
And then my final one, man.
I need you to take one from me here so it's not painful when I don't take it.
You know, I bet it's not going to be that one because I'm going to go one that's just messy as fuck. Not only do you get a great speech while this guy's in the bar, but then he leaves the bar and goes on to have maybe the most pukingest of puking scenes in any movie. And it just so happens that he's a puppet.
There it is. There it is.
And
just
there
so
it is.
happens
Just so
that he's a puppet. So I'm going with Gary Johnston, the kind of lead puppet in Team America World Police. He gets the great story about the pussies, the dicks, and the assholes, and then he drinks his spell silly, and then he goes outside and pukes for way longer than anybody should ever puke. And it's so graphic and fun. So I'm going Gary Johnston. If you've seen the movie, you do not forget that scene because it was ridiculous. Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
How did he find a movie with a drunk puppet?
Oh, no, this is like a hell of famous drunk scene. Come on.
Okay.
I stand by that pick. I love it.
All right, it's back to me.
But I did pick a puppet.
I swear at the start of it, I was like, there's no puppets that he could pick.
What? Can't do a
there's
puppet.
plenty
No
of
puppet. There's no
puking
puppets.
puppets. Come on, dude. Lots of puppets
And
are
out of his
puking.
top hat, he pulls a puppet.
I knew I had to do it for the pod because I mean, you know,
You did have
might
to do
not
it.
might not win me the draft. At the same time, it's a fucking great scene, and it's me choosing puppets.
Fucking love it.
All right, that's my last pick. So Nick,
All right,
your last pick.
I'm going super bad. The drunk headbutt.
Wait, whoa, which one?
The drunk headbutt.
Okay,
Seth.
okay.
So
Seth's drunk
Not
headbutt.
the drunken cop car scene.
No.
Okay, I'm not picking it, but you don't get credit for it.
Seth puking on Becca.
That's a toughie. Okay, so there's a scene I should pick here, but I'm going to share
Wow,
something.
no talk about that scene, huh? It just jumps in.
I like that scene. I thought hard about it.
It was my super bad scene. I like that scene better than I do like the cops driving around.
The cops are so funny in that, and Seth Headbanger is such a
And
shithead, but
the cops are
they're drinking
drunk.
beers.
They had
They're
been.
waste. They have to burn the car
Yeah.
for evidence.
Yeah, they go to the
Yeah.
bar and they're just they're pounding.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think you made the right choice, Nick.
here's how you know
In the
you have a
interest
good.
of my draft.
Here's how you know you have a good wife. And she has constrained me here because she said to me before I walked out here tonight, if one of you fuckers doesn't pick the butt chug scene from Blockers, I'm going to be pissed. And I think I'm the last one on it. And it is a great scene. So there's a movie called Chicken Blockers, I believe. Is that what it is?
It's just called blockers.
It's chicken. There's a chicken in the.
Well, because it's supposed to be cock blockers, homie. Are you making
blockers.
jokes?
What is happening?
I'm joking, dude.
I forgot about it.
Way to pick up that. Way to pick up that punchline there,
I
Brad.
don't know. You still seem a little shitty. So
So John Cena is convinced that he should butt chug. It's butt chugging a beer bong.
My son says to me all the time, John Cena. What does that mean? Do you guys know what that means? Is that something that's we're too old for
But
that?
John
shit?
Cena's awesome.
just
I don't know
screaming
what that
John Cena's
just
name.
jumps out at me like out of the shadows, and he'll be
He's
like,
just-
John Cena.
I think he's just saying like that's what he is.
So you have your yell
the
like-
character that
He's never
playing.
watched wrestling ever in his life.
Are you sure?
means. He never goes Gattaca.
never.
All right,
He never shouts Ethan Hawke classics at me.
that's a The League reference.
So no, blockers. Of course, that's the only scene that I remember from that movie. Essentially,
Blockers, Cena butt chug.
that's not a bad one. Melissa brought that up too. So my wife was mentioning that as
Apparently, our wives are into the butt chug.
Nate's
there's
just
something
tired
about
of
That's
that.
so
shit.
funny. We just discovered a mutual kink between you guys' two wives. Butt
Nate's-
chugging the
Nate's-
All
liquor.
this time, all I need to do is pop the top off Corona.
It's like, what are you doing with that rubber hose, babe? Don't you worry about it.
Nate's tired of
Wow.
their shit.
we've got
exiting
we've got
his
an
butt.
auto race going on.
I was hearing that in the headphones, and I was
Here
like,
at the
Brad, did you
Pomona
turn on
Raceway.
did you accidentally loop in the NASCAR race, or what the hell?
Somebody's going nuts. And we got
It's train again.
For the love of God.
maybe they're trying to race the train. They're going to jump the track.
Oh,
Some crazy.
I like that.
All right,
I like
well,
that. That
why
makes
don't
me
you-
think of that van jumping the thing into the ocean.
The kegs flying out.
All right, so with the train going by, I'm going to take my last pick, and this is where I was like, I just want to pick him because he's drinking the whole time, but it's like such a sweeping generalization because there's no like, there's a bunch of scenes, but Jack Nicholson in The Shining,
No, you got to go horror.
just drinking the whole time. He's talking to the bartender. He thinks the bartender has come back alive, and he's just completely losing his mind. I love it.
That's twice I've thought Zach was about to pick Nick Cage and Leaving Las Vegas, and he went different ways.
I started
descriptions.
writing.
I was like, oh, I checked my little box. Oh, wait, no, didn't go.
I started typing in the little list. I was typing "Leaving Las Vegas" because I thought that's where he was going.
Which
Nope.
is so depressing. But
I couldn't pick that movie because I haven't seen it.
yeah, it's right up your alley, buddy.
I can't wait.
All right, well, let's talk about some also rans. We got some teams here. Let's talk about some also rans, and there's a shit ton, man.
So the one I think we all should feel ashamed of is that we did not pick, and this was going to be my fourth pick, the Inglourious Bastards basement bar scene.
That's a
yeah.
tremendous scene, 100%.
That one
tremendous.
should have gone top 2 rounds, and it didn't get picked.
I almost picked Paul Rudd and I Love You Man in the beer chugging. That was
pukes-
my fourth.
God.
That
When
was
he
my
pukes
Pukes on
fourth
Fat
pick.
Bro's face. Oh my God, Nick! How did I not pick that?
That's a great
That was
one. I don't know how
That
I
was
missed that
between
one.
my last and that.
The poker table, yeah, that's a very much a
in
classic.
your face.
That's
in your
upsetting.
Face. What about, speaking of puke, fucking French toast?
Yeah.
40-year-old virgin? Oh. She
Definitely
French
a good
toast
one.
was never
Did you,
the same
did you
again.
have enough shellfish for lunch? Ugh.
The one I got here was, and it kind of made me sad not to pick it. Robbie Hart, drunk on stage, wedding singer.
That's the other one I was
Love
going to mention.
stinks.
Oh, dude.
Love stinks, and just going off on the mic for just a whole long time. Shit face.
So good.
It's a classic.
Go ahead, Nikki.
The World's End. Has anybody seen that movie?
I have seen it, and I don't
That's a
remember
fun-
why it's like the whole movie is supposedly a drunk fest, and I just don't remember that.
Well, they're basically doing
The world's
They're doing
ending.
a pub
a
crawl
pub crawl with the end of the world.
surrounded by like aliens.
Maybe I didn't see that.
And random celebrities, right?
I think they had random
There's a
celebrity
bunch of
cameos.
like
yeah.
Channing Tatum's like on a leash. He comes out.
No, This Is the End.
Oh, is that what we're
That was
talking about?
That's the crazy
that's what
one.
I
Yes,
saw.
That's the crazy one.
Oh, we're talking
Yeah.
about different movies.
Yeah, I was in it.
this is part of the Shaun of the Dead and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember the pub crawl, but it is the end of the
all
world.
that crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably see that. So if we're gonna split them up, the movie, the other scene, in fact, the scene I thought of like second or third that I didn't end up picking from that movie is the Skylar joke scene in Good Will Hunting, where she uses the beer as a prop to finish the joke.
That's not a bad one.
Oh, that one I pained me.
So
not to pick it.
can we tangent really quick to Minnie Driver in Good Will Hunting? Are we saying that we like Minnie Driver in Good Will Hunting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
Apparently
this
in
is-
real life she's terrible.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought
wait.
people were like controversial on her in that movie, and I thought she was great.
Oh, I think she's great.
Yeah.
Am I
Sexy, like
I'm glad I'm
cool.
not
I think she holds it down.
All right.
Goodfellas has a lot of drinking scenes. A lot of people want to talk about the Billy Bat scene, and that's a classic. But my scene in Goodfellas is when Tommy kills Spider. I mean, that's just a fucked up scene, and Tommy's just fucked up out of his mind and just being rowdy, and then just decides to kill the guy that's bringing him drinks. So that's pretty terrible.
And do I amuse
that's a lot
you? Do
different-
I
yeah.
amuse you? Like that
That
moment
scene when
when
they're all
it's
drunk,
like they're all
yeah.
laughing and
amuse you?
Oh my!
I mean, the Ray Liotta meme from them laughing at the table there. I mean, that's
yeah.
a classic.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
It is
I
great.
had Flight Denzel.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool.
that's a
take.
good pivot. I
Yeah.
like that.
Hey, my dark horse is Mr. Miyagi getting super drunk at his
Oh, I
house.
thought of this one.
And Danielson comes back and he's just like, "Oh, you're Danielson." You know?
I thought
did
of
you
that. That's a
That's a
sneaky
great one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Asian stereotypes, Long Duck Dong in 16
Yeah,
Candles.
yeah. I saw
When he's
that one.
passed out on the out on the grass, and just the line, I know it's so silly and terrible. I mean, maybe it's cancel culture now, but I don't know. But he says, "No more Yankee my Winky. Donga needs food." It's just one of the funniest lines I've ever seen, and I love him for
You're racist,
Gung Ho.
bro.
I love him for a lot of different movies, and Yeah, that was some good shit. Automobile.
Dude, there's so
My
many
worst.
guys.
Begbie, Train Spotting.
Oh yeah.
When he tells the crazy story and then he chucks the mug over the thing and then starts the giant fight.
I wanted to figure out a way to pick Lebowski, but there's just no real like memorable scene where it's like super centered around his drinking. He's just kind of steadily drinking throughout the entire movie.
You could almost just take the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's a good call.
The beginning of Social Network, he's drunk, like in the face mash when he's like blogging. He's supposed to be drunk, but it's not like
My pick that my wife's gonna be pissed because she kind of recommended this on 2 different occasions,
And
I
you
was
took a
like,
Muppet instead.
Yeah, she's gonna be hella pissed. I took puppets instead of this, but I mean, if you want to call a drunk scene in a movie, how fucking funny is the picture recap at the end of The Hangover?
that's
when they go through the camera and all the just drunken.
That's actually
nothing like it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because you miss all their drunken shenanigans.
Right.
Yeah,
throughout
that
the
you
movie,
get,
right?
that's the Hangover. That's the after day, so you get to see it at the end, and that's a classic.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, I thought we did okay.
Well, last real quick, I'm rocking a Pixar shirt today, and my wife was like, "Why are you wearing a Pixar shirt when you guys are drafting like Strange Brew and drinking?"
puppets and shit.
And Pinocchio has a drunk scene. Pinocchio goes off and gets drunk, and then Dumbo.
Yeah.
The pink elephants on parade scene's very classic. I mean, Dumbo and Jiminy Cricket. No, not Jiminy Cricket. Timothy the mouse. They get wasted off of champagne spiked water, and then they go on acid trips.
I was going to say, it's acid. It's like they're in Topeka drinking out of
I'll
Russell's.
lick a stamp and fucking go off.
And Pixar has a drunk scene. Linguini in Ratatouille. He is drunk, and
How'd
he
you
says
not-
some funny stuff.
I can't believe you didn't pick that. Are you not ashamed of yourself?
It's if you like Pixar,
I would have loved it.
it's
Yeah,
just
a
not
cartoon
memorable.
and a
If
puppet.
you like Pixar, says the guy with the Pixar shirt.
I would have liked it if he would have gone Pixar and a Muppet all in the same draft.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't see how you lose with that kind of pick.
Yeah, this is the kind of firepower that takes you to the top.
All right, so we had a hell of a draft here. A lot of good drinking scenes. We've been drinking ourselves,
Hey,
and
who's our judge?
so we do have a little surprise judge coming out of the woodwork. It is
We put him in the woodwork this time.
not in the.
Woodshed.
We're like, hey, go get in the woodwork.
It's a lot better than the soundproof booth because
Yeah, Scott didn't like
did not have
that.
good times. He had nightmares after that. But we are going to have Walter Ramirez from Last Call Brewing. I've had many Last Call brews in Drinking with the Director on our Tuesday pods. And we actually have the guy that makes those beers coming out to judge a draft, talk about some brews, and just shoot the shit for a little while. And he's going to be coming out just shortly. So listen to some ads, and we'll talk to you soon.
California has the largest population in the United States and the site of some of the most famous true crime cases in history. But there's more than meets the eye to the crime in California. Join Sean, Jessica, and Charles on the California True Crime Podcast as they cover crime both infamous and overlooked from around our state, while looking at the deeper history that goes beyond beaches and movie stars.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are ready to bring in out from the woodwork. How was that woodwork,
How is
Walter?
the
How did that woodwork treat you out there?
Comfortable?
It was nice. It was warm,
Musty.
smelled of rich mahogany, leather-bound books.
So we have our friend Walter Ramirez in here from Last Call Brewing. He's the brewmaster at Last Call Brewing, a local Oakdale, California brewery. Actually, the first really solid local Oakdale brewery, and they have been making some great beers since what year?
The brewery opened in 2015, so it's at five and a half years now. September, I believe, is when we opened the doors of 2015.
How long you been with them?
I got on at the end of 16, so just over 4.5 years now. Yeah, is when I.
So I would say that I'm at many things I'm a true novice, but I'm a real Luddite when it comes to brewing beer. So how did you what was your training? How did you become a brewer of beer as a profession?
I don't have the most traditional journey to get to where I am in terms of my career. I drank myself into the job, is what I say a lot. So I was a customer for the longest time. When I moved to Oakdale after college, there wasn't a ton going on. I grew up in the Bay Area, so there was a lot going on. And once I got here,
Things slowed down a bit.
slowed down just a little bit.
And what college did you attend?
I went to Chico.
Which
Chico
means
State.
that
Yes,
if you
I
go
did.
to Chico State, you basically come out with a beer degree. I mean,
Okay, so I want to come back to this story, but I just want to give you a shout out first of all,
Yeah.
because the Packers are playing tonight.
They
and
are.
you decided
They
to
were.
come and spend time with us during
did.
the time that the Packers game is happening.
I did.
You're wearing the Aaron Rodgers jersey, who we all know is from Chico.
He is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I went to school with a kid whose claim to fame, I'll shout him out right now, Big Ziggy. His claim to fame was, I sold weed to Aaron Rodgers.
is it Big Ziggy or Big Zaddy?
It was big. He is a big zaddy too, but his name was Zig Dog, and he used to just tell everybody,
Hey,
"I
that's-
sold weed to Aaron
That's
Rodgers."
hilarious. That's awesome.
That's a good claim.
All
to
right,
fame.
so back to it. So you went to Chico, and you got out of there. You moved to Oakdale, and
Yeah.
shit was slow.
Yeah, it just slowed down a little. And when the brewery started serving beer at the local farmers market, I found it, and I thought it was really cool that it was made in town, and I really wanted to figure out how I could learn more about it. So I found the brewery just on a day that they were open. It was weird thinking back on it now, how long ago it was, and they're out in the industrial area in Oakdale. So we went on sort of a journey to find it, and we saw the signs, and it was, oh, look at that, we're here. And it was kind of walking into a little bit of a Disneyland, if you will, for me. And it was really cool. And I hung out there every Sunday because they were only open Sundays at the time. They had just started. And I didn't work Sundays. I worked at a bank at the time, so we didn't have to work Sundays. Oh, shit. So I got to hang out there every Sunday, and that led to Josh and Brian, the two owners there, wanting to open on Saturdays and asking me if I wanted to come in.
They were
and
like,
be a
"Bro,
part
you're
of
here
it."
every Sunday
You might as well get
anyways.
paid for it. Well, what really happened was the Oakdale Chocolate Festival that's held every year. They had a booth there, and they were serving their chocolate festival brown that they brewed for the festival. And
Okay.
I had a pint of it, and I'm sure the story's gotten out enough now that I was like, this is just your normal brown, right? And they said, no, it's not, but here's another one for free, and don't say that again. So they didn't actually brew a beer for the festival, and that led to them saying, you know our product pretty well. You're here a lot. You seem to like what we're doing, so if you want to come on board, you can come on board, and we're looking for someone to pour beer on Saturdays. And at first I didn't want to do it because the bank wouldn't let me have every Saturday off.
Bastards.
And after about a week of thinking, I just kind of left the bank, which was pretty much full time with paid vacation and some benefits for 8 hours a week at the brewery. In hindsight, it worked out, but at the time it was probably a very dumb decision. And then that led to me wanting to learn more about the brewing process. So going in with Josh and Brian, who were the original brewers, and learning from them on my off days, managing the tap room, hiring people, scheduling, booking food trucks. Then I transitioned when we opened our tap room downtown just over 2 years ago now, to no longer working in the tap room and being full-time brewing. Before that, I was brewing some as well, but I was also doing the tap room. So once we opened the big tap room, I got away from the customer-facing side of things. I mean, I still do all of our graphic design work and website design and stuff as well, just because that's kind of fun to do. So, but that's how I started with the brewery. Yeah.
How great of a move was that, getting out of the front of the house?
I don't mind the front of house, but I definitely enjoy not being there anymore.
I hear you.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's fun. I still get to go into the tap room after work and have a beer, and a lot of the regulars, like Brad and some other guys are there, and I get to say hi and hang out and not have to be there until 10 or 11 at night cleaning up. So that's nice.
So we're a movie podcast, and Last Call has I think you said it's the most popular beer you have that's not your blonde, called Karate in the Garage, which we have we have a courtesy can of it here tonight. So how did it get named that?
Yeah. So that is our most popular beer. That is our blonde or our apricot, which are kind of our two lighter beers. So that came about. That was the first hazy IPA that the brewery did. That was the first beer I was actually part of kind of putting together along with Josh and Brian. And Josh started as a home brewer in his garage. It was a hobby that he had. He knew Brian through work. They're both firemen, paramedics. And Brian started going over to his house and drinking some of his beer, telling him how bad it was. And Josh said, "Well, help me out here. Let's do this together." So they got together. And
Did they fight in the garage? Did they
almost yes. They got together, kept homebrewing in Josh's garage. The idea for a brewery came about, I'm sure, after one or two too many. And
do you think they had a moment in some of they're just like, did we just become best friends?
I think that's exactly what happened. So when we were looking for a name of the beer, it was our first hazy, it was our first double IPA, and the double thing, brothers, stepbrothers, it kind of went together. Plus, we had all had a few beers sitting around the bar that night trying to name the beer, and that story came up while we were in the garage brewing beer together. Like, we're just doing karate in the garage. That's how we started, and we're like, that's perfect. That's a perfect name for the beer. So that's how that came about. That is our most popular. I think the name probably started it being popular, and then the beer itself took over. So.
That's real quick. I was gonna say that's a good segue because I knew you were a big Will Ferrell fan, and I was hoping to have you on for our Will Ferrell podcast, but you happened to be kind of busy that weekend.
Best story ever.
And I was like, dude, he come out, right? And
he tells us, he's like, I think Walter, he's checking. He's not sure if he's in or not. We're like, okay, that's cool. What's he got going on?
The background of the thing is Brad totally led us to believe like Walter might be in. Yeah, like he asked his fiance like he might be in, and then we find out.
I was kind of mistaken. I thought his wedding was the following weekend, but it was actually that weekend. He's like, yeah, you know what? The day after the wedding, I could probably do the podcast. And I was like, oh shit, you just got married? Oh my Lord, yeah, that's probably not.
Walter is such a nice guy. He wouldn't even say no to a podcast the day after he got married.
So I was. Well, obviously, I was aware that it was the day after my wedding. But
you were the only one aware of that.
We didn't really have plans other than to clean up and take some rental stuff back and everything. So maybe I'll be able to make it out there. And obviously no, because it was the day after my wedding. So and then we went out of town on the next day. But that I would have enjoyed being on that podcast. That would have been awesome. I am a big Will Ferrell fan.
But even though you missed out, I think I actually was drinking, and this is the cool thing about being a brewmaster. Walter made his own. I think actually you and Kendra together made a beer together to have and serve at their wedding, which is just tremendous, and it's got a great name. Go ahead and drop it.
Yeah. So the guys, I've got really cool bosses. Josh and Brian have not only let me do and learn anything I've wanted to at the brewery, but they've let me kind of take the position and run with it. All the beers that we come up with are mostly my creation, the names, the label artwork. I kind of have my hand over all of that. And of course they come in and they pitch in and their ideas are a big part of it as well. But they've said, take it and run. And in doing that, they allowed Kendra, who is my wife, to come into the brewery, come up with a beer, brew the beer with me. She was there for the whole brew day. She was there for the cellaring of the beer, dry hopping it, everything that goes into a beer post fermentation. And then the artwork on the can actually is artwork that she painted that I was able to put on the label. So yeah, she was able to be a big part of that beer, which is really cool. And we named the beer To Hop and To Hold, which is a pretty fitting name. I think it fit pretty well. Yeah. And we had cans and kegs of it at the wedding for everyone to enjoy. So and
that shit's trademarked, folks.
legit story, great. And you know what? We're gonna do a quick toast. We all have some of that.
Oh yeah, we have some of the Hop and To Hold.
Right? Cheers. Hop and To Hold. Cheers.
Congratulations, Walter.
Thank you for having me.
Marriage.
Walter and Kendra.
Yeah, that's just a hoppy rice lager. So super light, super crisp, really dry finishing.
Just very drinkable.
Yeah, we dry hopped with El Dorado, which gives a lot of kind of tropical fruit and melon. So it's fruity up front and then really dry and crisp on the back end.
Tastes like sex on a honeymoon to me. I don't know.
So I know. I just want to get super nerdy really quick.
Yeah.
So explain like I'm 5, right? So my favorite Reddit forum. Explain like I'm 5. Pretend I'm 5 years old. Explain to me in, as quick as you can. How do you make, like, say, an IPA? Like my favorite beer is just an IPA, delicious. What goes into that?
So
quick, just like the breakdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, quick and hard version. Essentially, with any beer, you have 3 brewing steps, right? You have your mash, which is where you extract all of your sugar from your grain. You need the sugar to make alcohol.
Okay.
The mash is also where you get most of your color based on the grains that you use, darker grains, lighter grains, etc. Then you have your boil, which in general is where you add most of your hop additions to get bitterness and flavor. With an IPA, that's where a large portion of the hop additions go, whether it's throughout the boil for bitterness. The longer you boil hops, in a very layman's terms, the longer you boil hops, the more bitter they are. The shorter you boil them, the less bitterness you get out of them. And then after boil, you go into a fermentation tank. You introduce yeast, and then the yeast start making beer. I always say, as brewers, we make wort. Wort is what beer is before it's fermented, and then the yeast takes over, and the yeast turns that wort into beer.
And then is that just like super diluted with water? that last step, or is it already like the amount of beer that's going to be there?
No, so we generally go into the fermenter with the amount of beer that we're going to package.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of loss throughout the process. We brew 10 barrels, so we brew 310 gallons at a time. A beer barrel is 31 gallons. So when we go from our mash, we get all of the wort out of the mash into the kettle. When we boil, we generally shoot for 315 or 320 gallons in the kettle, because we're going to boil some off and we're going to leave some behind in the kettle, because we don't pull everything, because when you add those hops, you have a bunch of solid matter that you don't want to take into the fermenter.
Gotcha.
We go into the fermenter with hopefully about 305 to 310 gallons. There's a little more loss when the yeast settles and you dump that out of the tank. And if, in the case of an IPA, you do a dry hop, which is adding hops after fermentation for flavor and aroma, then all of those solids get to the bottom of the tank, and you want to dump those out too before you go on to package. There's a few smaller steps after. You've got to carbonate the beer. You've got to condition the beer depending on the style. And then you package it in kegs or cans.
But it's pretty not like liquor or wine or anything where you have to age anything at all. Like, it's coming off the assembly line into the bottles and it's ready to go out, right?
Yeah, so and some beer benefits from aging, definitely.
Oh, really? Okay.
But not all of it does. Fresh hopped beers, IPAs, pale ales, even lighter beers, light lagers and blonde ales. The fresher, the better.
Right.
You're usually working with a 60 to 70 day window when they're the best before they start to fade, because some of those hop flavors will start to kind of mellow out. And from grain to glass, like our quickest turnaround from grain to glass is about 3 weeks. That we're putting beer into glassware for people to drink. On our long end, that can get to 6 weeks, just depending on the style. And some beers, some of our stouts, we let sit a little longer to mellow and get really smooth.
And I got one more question. Are you tasting these things along the way and then knowing like, oh, we need to let that sit for a little bit longer? Or is it just you decide what you're going to do and then you try it at the end and it's either good or how does that work?
Yeah, there's definitely room for some leeway in terms of how long the beer's in the tank. We set aside a certain amount of time for the beer to be in the tank and hope it's ready, but that's with the thought that it could take another 4 or 5 days, or it could be done a little bit sooner. We are tasting as we go.
Gotcha.
We're taking gravity readings to know where we are in terms of alcohol content and fermentation.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah, so we're constantly checking on the beer every day or two, just to make sure we know where the beer is, and making decisions then. But we have things down to a point where we generally know what all the beers we've brewed over and over will do and how long they'll take, so we can plan further ahead.
Pro tip: if you get a badass trivia team, you actually get to go like experience the process.
Oh, really?
And brew
you checked it out?
Brew a beer with Walter, and we actually got to brew a beer. Our trivia team.
Brad's got a wife that doesn't like to lose at games.
Yeah.
She will wreck
that
your
actually
ass at
hasn't
trivia.
happened since your team was able to do that, because we haven't really had a true trivia season. But yeah, that was awesome.
So
it was great times. It was actually awesome. It was tremendous. We got to brew a beer and named after our trivia team. It was a fun day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Dude,
legit.
that's so awesome.
Well, on that note, and I'm really pleased to hear that they've put you in charge of pretty much all creative decision making, because what I want to know is how many listens we have to get before we get a Bev's Video Kingdom special edition.
No. I've already thought of the name. BVK IPA.
Oh, so I heard that on a previous podcast.
Oh my God, it's so smart.
We've got stickers now that will make turn into really nice labels.
I did I brought some beer for you guys, just kind of as a thank you for having me. But also, before I got here, I talked to Josh and Brian, and they are fully in on having you guys come in and brew a beer.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. So
my
so
God.
0 listens, I guess, is the answer. But we've done a lot. We've done a lot with our community and with the people who drink our beer, with the people who live in Oakdale and are part of our tap room. We're big fans of our guests owning the brewery, in the sense that that's my brewery. That's where I go to have fun. That's where I go to have a beer with my friends. And as Brad was saying, our first trivia season, their team won like 13 out of the 16 weeks. And one of the weeks the team wasn't there, and that's why they didn't win. And so as a prize, I said, hey guys, Savage AF trivia team, you want to come down and brew a beer? We'll throw your name on it. We'll put it on the board, and you guys, it'll be up there. And we've also done beers with, there's another podcast that is a couple local guys in Oakdale called Hoist and Heavies. They drink beers and just kind of talk and hang out and shoot the shit. And they had us on because they wanted to do a brewery series, because we have 3 breweries in Oakdale now. We were the first ones on, since we were the first brewery, and we, in that that podcast we talked about brewing a beer together. And yeah, it came to fruition. They came in, they brewed the beer with me, they helped cellar it. We designed the label, we canned it, and their beer has been made and it's all gone and drank now. But they're local guys who are regulars who we did. So if you guys are
I'm fucking floored.
if you guys are into it, we can definitely figure out a time to get you guys in the brew house and put beer together.
The only requirement, and I'm going to go hard on this, is it has to have grenadine in it. If it doesn't have grenadine in it, I'm not.
It's sugar content.
I'm not fucking drinking it if it doesn't have grenadine.
Let the non-beer drinker go ahead and guide the beer. That's what we're gonna do.
But no, that's been okay by both of my bosses. They both said, that sounds awesome. Let them know.
Well,
so
we're pretty psyched.
We'll talk further about it after.
We could guarantee
off air,
that we could get a lot of people to come down there and order that off the menu. I can guarantee
hell yeah.
that.
I can tell you right now, last call is going to be a permanent staple in my kegerator from now on.
Hey, I do remember us saying that there's a advertising, last call advertising for, I think we said 11 years.
It was a year with 10 years free.
10 years free.
That's what it
1
is.
year free with 10 years free.
I threw that in to sweeten the deal.
It worked.
It's a great part of that is as I said, Brad's a regular. I'm not sure if I'm just meeting you three today. I don't know if you've been in our tap room before.
Many times.
But if you have, hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. And when Ed and Josh, the two Hoist and Heavies guys, brewed that beer and we did a release, they got a bunch of their friends and family, and we did T-shirts with the logo on it.
Oh, love it.
So it really worked out, and all it is to bring more people into our tap room to hang out and have a good time. And Ed and Josh are probably customers for life now, and that's awesome. If they weren't already, they are now, and everyone's going to remember that beer, and that's why we like to do that kind of stuff. So.
Well, I'll say, and if you're wondering about Last Call Beer, I mean, you can follow them on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, all those things they've got going. I know you got the Smokin' Okie coming back out, which is a classic.
Yeah, that's another example of working with a local. So breweries do a lot of collaborations, and in general, that's with other breweries who work together with other beer makers to come up with something cool. But we like to do a lot of collaborations with people who aren't breweries just because they're regulars in our tap room or their friends or their customers, their family. This trivia team, we do a beer every year with Blooming Camp Ranch.
They
fall
throw pie.
we do.
They throw pie into their beers. It's
So
pretty
we'll
awesome.
do that like a dessert stout or sour. The latest one we did a strawberry rhubarb pie sour. And then the Golden Okie, what Brad was speaking of, is a golden stout with hazelnuts, coffee, and vanilla that we brew with a local barbecue caterer named the Smokin' Okie, Kevin. He smokes the hazelnuts on his smoker that we throw into the beer. That was actually brewed for his wedding. He wanted to buy beer for his wedding. I said, we got enough time to make a beer. What would you like? He said hazelnuts and coffee, and I said, let's put something together. So
I'm slowly
tasty as hell.
being convinced that having like your own beer for your wedding is the ultimate flex. Like, that's
It's
so
a huge
sick.
flex for sure. That's awesome.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm feeling like I'm feeling a little giddy, and I want to hear what Walter has to say about our draft teams.
Nate, you're not going to win the draft, so I don't even know why you're excited about this at all.
Win or not win?
You sound like Yoda.
Actually,
Are we getting Shakespeare? Win
or not win?
or not win? That is the question.
I don't know. I might win. I might not win.
All right. So we always ask our judges to give us a little insight before they start talking about the scores. What were you thinking about when you decided to judge this draft? What were your thoughts? Did you have a scoring system? How did it go down?
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to say, what were you thinking about when you picked my team to win?
Zach always what he's saying is Zach always asks the judge, what were you thinking when you picked me last? What were you thinking when you did that?
Okay, Gimp. Let the man talk, Gimp.
Yeah,
Put your mask on.
So I did. I did have somewhat of a scoring system. There's only one criteria that I actually scored kind of 4-1 or 1-4, 4 being the highest. And then there are a few other points I added on some of the picks for a few different reasons. So the main criteria I used for each round was would I want to hang out there for a drink? That was,
Ooh, I like that.
If I did, it's if the one I wanted to hang out at the most got a 4, and then a 3, then a 2, and the one the least got a 1.
That hurts one of my picks.
Yeah, so that was
I think it hurts at least one of my picks.
that was the
Do
main
you like
criteria.
puppets?
And then there's a few other things that I wrote down in terms of what I thought makes a good drinking scene in a movie, and if the pick hit 1 or 2 of those things, I added a point. It got a little arbitrary, but I do have some. They are ranked, so that's kind of what I went through. Also, if I wrote 2 lists out for my favorite drinking scenes, I wrote a list for comedies and I wrote a list for non-comedy
That's
movies.
a great idea.
And if any of the scenes that I wrote down were picked, or even the movies that I wrote down, another scene was picked, then a bonus point got given to that one. So
That's science, friends.
So
that's
take us
what I
then.
did.
So Walter, then take us through the draft and kind of just go through the snake style from kind of one to start talking about some of your picks that you kind of dug and those that you liked.
Yeah, definitely. I can do that. So round one, I thought round one. So I'm glad that it wasn't all just comedy movies right off the bat. Because when I thought of this, I thought, well, we're all going to be talking about comedic films.
I
right?
did too.
Getting hammered, and so I think only one of those films is actually like a solid comedy, old school, the Frank the Tank. We're going streaking scene. So I'm glad to see the diversity in the picks there. However, I thought there were probably some reaches for sure in the first round. Just in my opinion. So round 1, 2, 3, 4, old school. I think that's a drinking scene that everyone in like two generations of people can get behind in terms of a classic. The Harvard bar scene, I think, is also one that's not only is it a classic film, but Affleck and Damon together. I mean, and it is. I always forget. Casey Affleck's in that film.
Yeah.
He's the brother.
He's the brother.
I swallowed a bag.
Yeah.
Got to bring your little brother along.
It's wicked smart. Yeah, no,
Wicked.
Wait,
Smart.
are they actually brothers or are they just
No, they're not
Well, he's
brothers in the
Affleck's
movie.
brother.
right? I mean, Avic's little brother,
but
they're-
in real life, they were birthed
in
by the
the
same
the characters are not
mother.
all brothers. They're all four random dudes.
They came out of the same lady, Brad.
So I'm glad that that's I think
That's
another
science.
like iconic scene from that movie. So that was I think a good first round pick. The Jaws scene and the Apocalypse Now scene, I think for first round picks were just a little bit of a reach. Once again, that's my opinion.
100% agree.
I think that the Apocalypse Now scene, I think, is like an iconic scene in that film, and there was a ton that kind of went wrong in filming that movie, right? And so I think part of Sheen's shtick was he was just letting loose, not only in the scene, but like, kind of fuck this movie kind of deal.
Just in life in general.
Yeah,
It
he's
was
just like, I'm over it.
chaotic. One of the most
so-
chaotic film shoots ever.
So I think part of that came out in that scene.
That's kind of his calling card, isn't
People
it?
getting sick and
Yeah.
almost dying in the
Yeah.
movie. I mean, like, there's all sorts of chaos there.
Round two, I thought round two was probably the most solid round in my opinion. The Belushi chugging a bottle. Yeah, everyone loves that movie. I love that scene.
Except Brad.
Except Brad.
because
I guess
hasn't seen
except
it.
Brad. Except Brad. But the college sweatshirt, he's so distraught because they took the bar. And then he just chugs a bottle of Jack and everything's okay. So you can't really be mad at that. The bridesmaid scene, I laugh out loud every time I see that movie. It's
So good.
stove.
Such a good pick.
Stove.
My name is Steve.
Help me, I'm poor. So I thought that was solid. I mean, Billy Madison and the Penguin. I don't think I can think of maybe one or two Adam Sandler scenes that I would put above that, and that's it. And I'm just talking in the realm of Big Daddy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, like that. Not
His
the
good
later
movies.
stuff. Yeah, the good movies. No.
You're not picking from Pixels?
I'm not picking from Pixels. I'm not picking
Zaddy.
from what was the other one?
Remote Control or
Jack and
something?
Jill. Yeah, I'm not choosing the scene from that film. And then the Warriors scene with Nick Nolte. When you said that, I didn't remember, and then I went over and I looked at the clip. I said, "Oh no, I know exactly what this is. I love this movie," and that was one of my favorite scenes in that film, just because of how vulnerable it is. And Tom Hardy's a hard ass in that
gut-wrenching.
movie the whole time.
Yes.
And then in that scene, he kind of breaks a little, and so I thought that was a really good second round pick. My scoring might not say it based on all the other criteria.
I like that. I like that.
That's a good
A
scene.
little moral support.
Yeah, Beer Fest is the first movie I thought of with this category. That's not the first scene I thought of, but I did have another one of.
There's a bunch of good
on my list.
scenes.
Oh, there's the whole movie essentially.
I
right?
just love that guy when it just shows him at the bar when he really looks like, and he's just all not even speaking words.
So you know what? So I'm gonna go back real quick, and I guess I should have broke down my scoring real quick. So in round one, I'm just gonna go through where I would want to hang out the most, and then the bonus points I won't even talk about.
it.
You'll just see the end of the score. Where I'd want to hang out the least is in that hotel room. Apocalypse
yeah,
Now.
he was
I
a
don't want to
little
be
psychotic.
there. So that got 1 point. Listen to the shark stories and Jaws. That got 2 points. I'd rather be at the Harvard bar with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and then of course,
But you'd definitely rather
at the
go
house
streaking.
party. I'd rather go streaking with Will Ferrell
Guy
and
with the
Frank
green
Tank,
hat. You
definitely.
can bring your green hat.
So the picks there went in the order that they were picked. So the most hang it out, the best hangout would be Frank the Tank, and then so on. Round 2, I'd want to hang out with Belushi. The most,
course.
definitely. Then I'd probably want to be at Billy Madison's house, hanging in the pool.
There was a lot of fun
on
parties there, that's for sure.
Nudie Mag Day,
Maybe
for sure.
jet ski in the fountain.
Day.
And then the house party at Can't Hardly Wait. No, sorry, wrong round. And then the plane on Bridesmaids, because I don't like flying. So, but I don't want to be in that room with Nick Nolte even more. So that one got last.
Nick Nolte doesn't want to be in
Yeah,
that.
he doesn't
He
want-
doesn't even want to be in that.
I'm just picturing the whole scene with Walter sitting on the edge of the bed, just kind of huddled over,
That
like
first-
super,
and all he's
super
doing is
awkward,
saying,
like trying to stay out of the,
The
way.
ships.
He's singing quotes from
Ships. It's
from-
Moby Dick.
yeah, Moby
Dick,
yeah.
Son of a bitch!
And also, who,
Gutless son
they
of a
had to
bitch!
get a ton of phone calls from whoever was in the other room over, right? Like,
Fuck is going on in there?
come on, man. Round 3, I'd want to be at Beer Fest or at the bar with Barry.
Oh, yeah.
And then the scene that I got from that movie that I immediately thought of was we're not that drunk. Like that's the scene I picked there. Then I'd want to be hanging out with ET. Third, like that's the second most I'd want to hang out with. The drunk alien sounds really cool. I don't want to be in school with Elliot.
No.
Not at all.
Not as an adult.
Nate's scared of ET because he looks like a penis. ET looks like a penis.
What does your penis look like,
what is
Zach?
it?
Oh, I'm just saying.
That's a weird.
Which part of ET?
I wanted to talk about it earlier, but ET is oddly phallic, and I understand why you were scared of him. Nate.
All of them, or
Yeah,
just
I suppose.
just his weird light
like
up?
Fingers, I
Just
thought.
ET.
Just it's not the finger that lights up at the end.
No. That's
that is very fun.
that's a diseased.
Does your dick not light up red
That's
at
a
the
sex
end?
toy.
It does not.
When you like it's like when you like tip to tip and all of a sudden it turns red.
That's my favorite visual we've had all podcasts.
I
Walter no longer wants to brew a beer with us. Thank you.
that makes me want to hang out with ET less, but it's still gonna stay ranked.
Mission accomplished.
That's still the second place I would want to hang out in that
Still
round.
second.
The house party, I Can't Hardly Wait, and then the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm just not a big Raiders of the Lost Ark fan.
You can
I
say
know
it
that's
out
kinda-
loud here on this
Yeah,
podcast.
it's not my
This
thing.
is a safe
It's not my
space.
thing. I don't really love the film.
84, something like that.
yeah,
It's 83, I think. It's an earlier film.
They're better Indiana Jones films, I think. Raiders of the
Little
Lost Ark
known
is my
fact
favorite.
that woman was
Unpopular
was
opinion.
16 when she filmed that.
She's like, I'm 16. I'm taking 16 shots.
Shia
And then,
LaBeouf killed it.
In round 4, I'm surprised that Superbad, the scene from Superbad, waited until round 4. That could just be like my generation, I guess. That was a big part of my like college years.
That was a
and all
steal in that
out.
round
So
for
that was
sure.
definitely a steal. That's where I want to hang out with the most is at that party. Third, I'd never seen Blockers. So I had to go watch that scene.
It's pretty absurd.
Movie looks hilarious. Ridiculous. So that was that got 3 points in terms of do I want to have a drink there? Because John Cena's hilarious, dude. I think you say your kid was jumping out
Yeah.
saying John Cena.
He's
never
9.
seen wrestling. Yeah. He's probably seen some movies. He's in a lot of movies.
Definitely.
He's very
a
funny.
huge star.
They're making an entire movie for his character in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
right?
I
Beside
did see that.
His own movie.
Interesting.
He's just a good dude. Too. He's done more Make-A-Wish. Granted, more Make-A-Wishes
Yeah.
than anyone else in the
Really?
history of the
Seems
program.
like a
Yeah.
100% solid guy.
Yeah, and then 2 was the bar in Team America because I don't want to hang out with Jack Nicholson in the China.
Yeah, I
Stay
knew that was
away.
going to hurt me.
It's not going to be
away.
there. So that's just the ranks of do I want to have a drink there? There's some few other categories, but I've got my rankings, and believe it or not,
Who's in last place first?
I'll
Tell
t-
us.
I'll
Well,
tell you
so
who's in last, but-
give us the number of the team, and then I
Yeah.
will run through the list,
Okay.
and then you can give any commentary you need to.
Perfect. I do want to shout out just 2 drinking scenes that didn't get mentioned that I
Oh,
think
yeah,
are
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
100%.
They might be a
What was
little
missed.
obscure. So my favorite comedy drinking scenes I wrote down. There's scenes from Superbad, Old School, Animal House, Beer Fest, and Hangover. Almost all those got picked,
Yeah.
except for Hangover is the only one not represented. But the Wolfpack scene on the roof that starts the whole movie. I know you mentioned the camera at the end, but they're drinking in the scene on the
Jaeger,
roof, and that's what start this Jaeger. Jaeger
he
inside a roofie.
Tell him that he
Jaeger
spiked
roofies.
everybody.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
he's a one-man wolf pack. He knew that you guys could be in the wolf pack. So I want to shout out the hangover scene, and then in non-comedy scenes, none of the movies I wrote down got mentioned.
Oh, what do you got?
Wow.
So in no particular order, have you guys seen Drinking Buddies with Olivia Wilde?
Yeah.
So in the very
A
end
lot of
that
people
movie,
hate that movie, and I
love
kind
it.
of like it.
I love it. I think it's a great movie.
I dig some shit like that.
Yeah, it's a cool movie, and at the end of it, they've had kind of their friends quarrel, and he just comes into the break room and gives her a beer, and she gives him some French fries, and they're friends again. I thought that was an awesome scene. Sideways. You guys like that?
yeah.
Drinking from the
Anybody orders any fucking Merlot, I'm leaving.
Sideways is a big omission.
Yeah,
the dump.
great
yeah.
movie. Jumping out of the dump bucket.
Yes.
But I like when he kind of waxes poetic about Pinot when she asks him, "Why do you love Pinot so much?"
Oh, that's a great.
So I like that one. The cantina scene in Star Wars. All right, they're
Brad.
not really drinking, but they're in a bar, and so I came up with that one. James Bond in Casino Royale ordering a Vesper. I thought that was like an awesome scene. Like that's kind of the genesis of that drink. And then the last non-comedy one I have is when the narrator has a conversation with who we don't know is himself yet in Fight Club, and Tyler Durden and
leads to the first fight.
and it leads to the first fight. Yeah.
Oh, and they
he's
go out.
the things you own end up owning you, and he hits
Fights
him
him in the alley. Yeah.
Right here.
No, he fights right in front of the bar.
Right.
So, anyways, those are the scenes I thought of. Just wanted to throw those out there. So, in last place, with 13 out of there's no possible 13
out of
13 out of 527
Unlucky
million points.
13.
in fourth place with 13 points is team number 4.
That would be Ben Willard from Apocalypse Now, John Belushi, Animal House, Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Gary Johnston, Team America, World Police.
Whose team is that, Brad?
How many of those movies have you actually seen? Huh?
Guys, back to back L's. Back to back L's.
It was hard to see those scores at the end and have the Belushi scene on that team.
I've seen 3 out of those 4
So-
movies.
Brad's-
The one scene that actually did me good, I have not seen.
You know what Brad's Muppets can do for his teams? They can make guarantee last place. You can have
Hey,
John Belushi chugging a bottle
call
of
it
Jack
the
so the
Daniels.
first
the Muppet
time
Team Muppet.
I cannot wait until it's like the first, like most memorable sex scenes. I'm like Muppets, most Muppets.
Oh, you could use Team America again. Yeah,
That's true.
So the first time I watched
As soon as we get to the most memorable Muppet draft, though, we're all fucked.
Yeah,
the first time I watched Team America, I didn't know what it was, and I just saw South Park, Trey Parker.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
And I watched it on demand. I rented it while I was with my dad. And we got like 30 minutes into the movie, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I think I picked the wrong one. So yeah, that was
yeah.
that.
It's a little intense.
Did he ask you what kind of weird shit you were into?
I think, if I remember correctly, he lasted until the sex scene.
Yeah.
And he got up and was like, "Oh, I'm going to go make some dinner." That was good, Dad. Sorry.
It's enough marionette
Yeah.
fucking for me.
And then, so this is, I don't know if this has ever happened. The way I scored this, it ended up that there was a 3-way tie for first. So I broke that tie.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god!
And
This is intense.
the way I broke that tie was I threw the scores out the window and just looked at the teams as a whole and figured out which ones I thought was the best. So,
I like
that's what it
that.
comes down to.
That's what you gotta do.
That's what it comes down to. So in third place is team number 2.
That would be Will Hunting from Good Will Hunting, Billy Madison, William Can't Hardly Wait, and the Butt Chug with John Cena and Blockers.
This
How
is
you like them apples?
entirely non-scientific, but I'm taking a third of a win.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And when I looked at the team as a whole, I was like, oh, like I guess what it came down to is like none of these movies are my favorite movies to watch. So I think that's kind of what it came down to. In second place was team number 3.
That would be Quint, Jaws. That would be Kristen Wiig, Bridesmaids, E.T. and E.T. and Seth puking on Becca in Superbad.
My favorite drinking scene in Superbad, by the way, is when he is drinking while he's dancing with the chick at the party. Yeah, fuck, that's fucking spilled Merlot on my leg.
Merlot on my leg.
You know, actually, my favorite scene is just when they're drunk at the end and he's talking to when Seth and what's the other kid's name?
Evan?
Evan, yeah. So when they're sitting there together and like they're just like recapping the night, and he's like boops his nose and stuff. It's just
There's so many quotables.
I love when they're like talking about whether or not they're going to be able to tell that it was like beer from a bottle of detergent.
Oh, yeah.
which
100% you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, 100%. That's another good one. He's chugging out of the bottle.
It's so ridiculous.
So wait,
So
does that who?
Zach.
I mean,
so
that's
that
team
leaves
number
us
one.
with team
That
one
leaves us
with
only
the
one
W.
team.
Well, read the team back. Read it back.
That would be number one, Frank the Tank Old School, Patty Conlon from Warrior, Barry and Beer Fest, and Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
Everyone's so excited for me.
Wait, hold on.
Tank and Beer
Is
Fest.
this your first win?
I wish this is my first real win.
No, it's your
second.
second win.
I've got a
Playing
half a
that
win.
Number
God,
two,
shut
W.
up with
None
your
of that
second
bullshit
half.
half win stuff.
I've got 2
Your
wins.
wife is gonna be so proud of you.
She
because
is.
she shames
Dude,
him so
is she
hard.
still awake?
I already text her.
She shames him so hard.
I go. Me and Nick are top 2.
She's getting the play-by-play.
I will
that
say,
is it. That is
Walter, you might not have known this coming into it, but you might have just got this guy laid.
Walter,
100%.
I do what I can.
doing the Lord's work, right?
If
I mean,
the beer
not that-
doesn't do it, I make beer, and if that
How many
doesn't
guys?
do it,
How many people have you gotten laid by making beer? That's probably
A lot.
God damn.
I've seen how many the people in Oakdale, and they're having a lot of babies. Let me
A
tell
lot
you.
of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of babies.
Congrats, Zach.
Walter,
Yeah, congrats.
you're officially my favorite podcast guest. I mean, God damn.
Zach got a win, and he gets to brew a beer. Like,
Oh, dude,
Last
and
Call is now going to be his
I mean,
favorite.
yeah, I'll
beer
take it.
forever.
That's why I'm here.
Christmas has come early, and so is Zach.
Aaron Rodgers and Zach have won tonight.
That is true.
Good shit.
I will say the highest rated picks I think were Frank the Tank at 1, and despite coming in last place, Belushi's scene in Animal House.
Wow.
The lowest rated.
That's a cool scene, Brad. You should watch it sometime.
Yeah, you should. It's a great movie. Three scenes that I rated the lowest were Apocalypse Now,
Jaws.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Shining. And those are all because they're the places I wanted to hang out the least. That's what hurt
Yeah.
them.
My
I
dude.
feel that.
I mean, that Jaws table is kind of fun, and when they're like singing and
Oh,
drinking
yeah.
and like
It's a
showing
lot.
scars and shit,
Just a-
you know.
Quint's he's an
laughs.
aggressive drunk. Quint is he's an aggressive drunk, and he's drunk probably when they first introduced him at that little like meeting. He's probably
When
drunk
he's
then
scratching
too.
the fingernails on the chalkboard, he's
Yeah.
coming in. Actually, he's probably hung the fuck over right there.
Well, how-
Eating his saltines. That's what he's eating. I think.
Thinking of this, how fun would it be, like looking at round 1 here, if Clint, right? That was, I can't remember.
Quint.
Yeah.
Yes, was telling those stories in the Harvard bar
Yeah.
while Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were trying to pick up those girls as Frank the Tank runs
Streaks
by
by.
streaking. And upstairs in the hotel, you just hear Sheen
Things
just
getting broken.
going nuts and throwing things and breaking mirrors.
This is something that can happen in the metaverse.
I was
love
going to say
this.
that's all. That's our alternate ending for the draft.
That's it.
There you go.
Oh man,
All right, so all we have to talk about now is first, Walter, what's the Last Call doing? What do we got? Any upcoming events, beer releases, things that we need to know about?
Yeah, so we've got another can run that we're doing, and we're going to be releasing 3 new beers in cans. They're 2 beers we've done before, but we're re-releasing, and 1 beer we have not put in cans. That is going to be released. When is this getting released? When is this podcast?
We're going to be
will
out
be
Thursday, November something.
Oh, that's
3rd?
So
Yeah,
next-
Thursday, November 4th.
November 4th. That's
There we go.
so that's exactly when those cans come out. So that weekend they'll be available.
if
Oh,
you're
perfect.
listening to
Yeah,
this
if you're-
pod,
if you're
go to
gonna
the
listen.
Last Call Beer.
Go down to the Last Call Tap Room. We're going to have our Simple Chaos, which is a hazy IPA, our Don't Stop the Rock, which is a West Coast IPA, and then the Golden Oaky that we talked a little bit off air, which is a golden stout with hazelnuts, coffee, and vanilla. Those will all be in cans and out this coming weekend.
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
we have listeners that are far and wide, including some that are in Turkey listening.
Bangladesh,
under
I heard,
under
yeah.
threat,
Canada too.
under threat of government violence. But if you don't live in proximity to Oakdale, how far away could you go pick up a can of Last Call Beer?
Not in Turkey, unfortunately. But no, we distribute all through Stanislaus County, Modesto, Oakdale, obviously. We have some beer in Riverbank. We go up to Calaveras and Tuolumne County and Sonora and Murphy's. And we have been in Sacramento. We're up there occasionally, only in 1 or 2 shops. And then we also go up to, we've been in some stores in Ripon and I don't think, is there a river market or something here? Is that in Houston? Might not be in Houston.
Oh no, there's a couple of places in Houston that probably
save more.
So all around Stanislaus, essentially all around Stanislaus County and Tuolumne Calaveras County.
Yeah, so if you're in the Central Valley, or if you, even better yet, if you head up to the Gold Country, the mother lode of California, on your way to Yosemite, maybe.
Yep.
Definitely make sure you keep an eye out for Last Call beer.
Now,
Last
did you
Call
guys?
beer.
Am I correct that you guys had an event up at the Watering Hole in Murphy's?
Correct. Yeah. So the Murphy's Watering Hole has done a featured brewery night, I believe, once every week for the last few months. We did the very first one back at the beginning of summer, and then the one that we've just done was the last one. They do live music and they feature a brewery, give away stickers and glassware and stuff like that. So we just did that in Murphy's. All the places in Murphy's are really cool. Everywhere that serves our beer is really cool. So go drink it, come to our tap room and drink it and buy some cans. We just got a bunch of new gear in, a bunch of new shirts and sweaters and hats and pullover sweatshirts, zip-up sweatshirts.
It's almost light sweater season, bro.
Yeah, it's perfect timing.
It's going
perfect
down.
timing.
Throw that hoodie on, dog.
Definitely.
And then for sure.
A couple things out of that is that definitely check out Murphy's. The Watering Hole is just a wonderful little beer spot. They've got some. They always support local breweries, and they've got some great food. It's a cool ass spot. If you're up in Murphy's, you want to go to wine country and have some fun, stop by the Watering Hole, please. They've got great beers. And then also Monday nights at Last Call. If you're thinking trivially.
Trivially.
Triviality.
That's how the Italians say it.
That's how they.
They have a trivia night Monday night still.
Yeah,
right?
every
King's
Monday
Trivia.
night at 7, King Trivia does a trivia night. You could win gift cards for beer money if you come in first, second, or second to last place, just so you hang around even if you're not doing too well. We do food trucks pretty much every day that we're there, so you can have something to munch on while you're having a beer. And then, of course, follow us on all of the social media at Last Call Brewing, Instagram, Facebook, Untapped. If you are into reviewing your beers, you can find us on Untapped as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And at www.lastcallbrewco.com.
Dude, awesome having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Walter.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate
Appreciate
that. Well,
Thank you. This was fun.
all we got to do to wrap up this pod is to say what's coming up next week.
Ooh, where are we going to send the kids?
And it's over to Nate.
So it's well known amongst the Bev's crowd that I am a bit of a sentimental, a bit of a romantic at heart.
Zach giggling in the mic is awesome.
So I like a good romantic comedy, and so it's finally time to go there. And so we are going to next week talk about the movie Crazy Stupid Love, featuring the dreamy, steamy Ryan Gosling.
I think it's Gosling.
Is
Wait,
it Gosling?
do people think he's attractive?
No.
I don't know.
Only when he takes his shirt off.
I personally can't. I can't stand my seat when he's on screen, but that's just me.
Was it because your dick's so hard? I don't understand why you can't stay in your seat.
It points straight down. You can't sit down.
It's just like a weight, just boom to the floor.
I just have to dance every time he's on.
So we're gonna do Crazy Stupid Love, and then the real feature of the week is we're gonna use that as a segue into our Thursday episode where we're going to draft the sexiest movie characters, males only, since 1990.
Oh,
Okay, why would we do this?
Biggest film heartthrob.
Why would 4 at least openly straight guys,
Presenting hetero.
four
mostly straight guys.
4 mostly straight, so far as everyone knows, straight guys draft the sexiest male since 1990. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's because that we are going to have a special set of guest judges who are none other than our 4 wives.
Oh
So there will be
boy.
4 wins up for grabs next week.
We're going to go 4 wins, and we're going to tell each.
4 wins.
I thought they were going to have to come to a consensus.
That's ridiculous. You want our 4 wives to come to a consensus on who the hottest list
we
is?
need to do some type of 4 wins and then like a bonus win for some particular. The girls come together and figure something out.
Sounds great. So
4 wins.
so
5
Oh,
wins.
a bonus
available.
point for that.
okay.
We should have Walter pick the bonus point. He obviously has good taste.
He does.
So
Zach.
so that's gonna. So again, it's characters in movies. So you could have like an all Brad Pitt team if you want, Brad.
Oh, I can go just Tom Cruise all.
Brad's like,
movies.
I take
Tom
Brad
Cruise is like
Pitt and
5'2",
Benjamin
isn't
Button.
What's that?
Tom Cruise is like 5'2".
He's not that tall.
Yeah. But if you're a 4'11" lady, he looks
That's
mighty
right.
sexy.
That's right.
Hey, Nate almost dunked on who was it? Paul Rudd, right?
He didn't dunk on him, but he did talk to him at a bar, supposedly.
I talked to him at a bar once, and he's a good-looking man.
But
he
you
may not
could
make
dunk
my
him.
list.
But you said he was short. You said he was small.
Oh no, he's a teeny tiny guy.
He is Ant-Man, bro. What did you
He's
expect?
literally
Pistol
That was
Pete.
some good casting.
I mean, I'm just going to foreshadow right now that there's may be an all Zac Efron team. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
that
I like that.
we may go straight Efron character.
I'm going all frumpy. I'm going Galifianakis. I'm going Seth Rogen.
Kind of like
I'm
that.
going, yeah.
Kind of the dad bod team.
I'm just trying to make myself
maybe
feel
like
good.
like the super dad bod team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what you got. So tune in next week. Jump in for our Crazy Stupid Love pod, and then get in on that draft action with the sexiest male characters in movies since 1990.
Well, shit. That's going to be a mess.
Hot, wet.
If you think
Draft
that our wives are going to be sober when they're doing this, just understand they are not. They're going to be liquored up, talking about as much shit as they can, and you might learn some new things about us because it's going to be a rough one, I think, for us.
It's going to be a rough one. This was a bad idea. This was a bad idea. Wives were a bad choice.
Wives were a bad choice. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Definitely check us out on the socials. Leave a review, tell a friend, whatever you got to do to keep this love going. We love y'all. Hopefully you guys are loving us.
Click.
Oh, yeah, and keep an eye out for that BVK IPA. Don't forget, we're doing it. We're doing it, guys.
IPA.
I made
at
2
Last Call.
predictions. One was that BVK IPA was going to be a thing, and the second one was that Eminem was going to use it in a verse in a real song. So half of
halfway
that has
home,
come true, baby. Marshall, where you at, dog?
We're halfway there.
Oh, man.
Living on that prayer. That's what we're doing, folks. So have a great weekend, and we'll catch you soon next Tuesday. Some bullshit's going to happen. Peace. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Later.
I wanna be at Beverly's, bringing me home with my movies, just a blind by, no reason why. I love this scene. Nick Zach and Brad, your favorite podcast. Let's start